Good morning or good afternoon. It is Tuesday. It is the Public Relations Podcast, and this is PRBites once again. This is my me reading the newsletter aloud, which I put out twice a week. If you haven't got it already, you can go to thepublicrelationspodcast.com, click on the newsletter button, and you can subscribe to that if you prefer to read it rather than listen to my voice. Or if you prefer to listen to my voice, if you're driving or you're on the train, then a big welcome to you. I've got a lot of quick fire items for you today as I've been looking around the PR world, things that I've spotted, things that I think talk about PR strategy, and some ideas and guests. There's so much stuff. Plus also the scenario at the end, which is just a little brain teaser for you to have a think about how would you handle this particular problem for a restaurant chain that is having some serious problems. I'll get to that in just a few moments' time. First, though, just to mention that I'm going to talk about a couple of stories. Should you trust all media requests is one of them. Another one I'm going to be talking about is the British royal family and how they seem to be adapting to the Instagram generation. And why speaking to an organisation's sales team rather than the CMO might get you comms clients or even a job or more resources for your comms operation within an organisation. Let's get started, though, with I spotted, and three stories I spotted. The first of all was the British Royals. I forgot to mention this one last week, actually. But did you see it? It was Kate Middleton, the British Royal, released this video revealing that she is now cancer-free. And if you haven't seen the video, she's running around this field with her kids, and Prince William gives her a kiss. It's all very Instagrammable, almost like it's like a pop video in its style. Her dialogue is laid over the visuals, and it's quite a departure from what we've traditionally associated with royal PR. But the online reception has been really overwhelmingly positive. And the real strategy here to me is that it wasn't made for traditional royal fams. It was made for the generation who will be adults when William and Kate become king and queen. In other words, once again, it's PR aimed at who you're trying to reach rather than what has been done in that space before, even if they ultimately prove to be the same thing. I think so often there is that temptation to just repeat what has been done before. But the world is constantly changing, and it's essential to adapt. And I suppose the Royals have got it a bit easier in the fact that they're not going anywhere, that they can experiment more. But it still shows that whole point is about thinking who is the target audience, and then what do you need to do to reach them, not the people of the past. Next item in the I Spotted section was should you trust media requests? And this was a media request in Mark Shankman's SOS newsletter that caught my eye yesterday. Not because of the topic, but because of what it didn't say, which I thought illustrated a really good point. So the journalist was looking for amusing anecdotes about electric vehicles, which, let's be honest, could mean anything, any angle, any story. And my first reaction was to click the publication link to see if I could work out what they might actually want. Because I think the temptation sometimes is to think that if a reporter needs something in your space, it's going to be worth doing. But while this one proved to be an electrical appliances trade mag with no obvious focus on controversy, a simple request like that could, of course, backfire if you don't do your research. So don't forget, folks, when the pitch is vague, do your clicking to be sure. I'm sure I could have made that rhyme. Vague. No, I'll think of it. I'll come up with that another day. And finally, the third item in the I Spotted section was feeling sorry for the PR team. You know those Instagram threads that leave you in pain when they're just so bad because they're so faked? You know, I think you might know by now, I'm a fan of the World Rally Championship. I used to compete in it. Well, not in that championship, but I used to compete in the sport. And last year's winner is just not media friendly. The social media team tried to do this walk and talk segment with him, where he's supposed to answer quick-fire questions while walking along. But it was painfully obvious that he didn't want to do it. It felt awkward, and the way he walked made him look lost and uncomfortable, as if he didn't know where he was even headed. And meanwhile, there's a female drivers' competition aiming to bring more women into motorsport, and these women just get it. They're making Instagram content that's engaging. It's like showing off their outfits laid out in hotel rooms, waiting for them, travelling through the airport and arriving at events. And it's captivating, because you're getting pulled into their lives. You know, I feel sorry for the PR people working with that champion. It's a bit like with journalism. There's only so much you can do with a bad story. And in this particular case, unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with the people that you're working with. And sometimes you just need to look to the next generation. Okay, moving on to a quick tip from a guest section. And this was a tip on building authenticity from Jaydeep Shergill from Pitchfork Partners. And his advice was this: if you want to build authenticity, embrace the concept of failing forward. And what he meant by this was it's about being open about you when your organization has made a mistake or faced a setback, but then also showing how it has learned from that and emerged stronger as a result. The problem obviously can't be too serious. It can't be something that you're mocking or anything like that. But revealing that a brand isn't perfect helps to connect more effectively with people than brands that claim to be flawless, because it makes them feel more human. So the principle here from JD is to fail, as in the mistake that you've made, but in a positive way, failing forward, showing how this is now really helping people, but no real harm was done in the past. Next section is the update section, and this is a general update. So actually it's about comms question time, which I did the second of the pilot shows on Monday. Which, yeah, I'm thinking about it already. It's Tuesday. Yeah, it was yesterday, which was just as lively as the first pilot episode that I did. There's something about this format that really gets the guest panelists going, and I think you're going to find it really interesting. There's some really interesting strategies that I think come out of this, and some new ideas because of the way that the panelists and myself, we're bouncing off each other and throwing around ideas, and we've tackled some quite tough scenarios too. I mean, even my guests have been saying that they've been picking up new ideas from each other. I think you're going to find, actually, that when you listen to it, you'll not only pick up potentially techniques that you can use for your own comms work, but I think you're also probably going to end up being sparked at times to think, yeah, but I would do it this way, or I would do it this way. I'm certainly feeling that way. I think you'll find it interesting. As I say, 2 recorded so far. There's a third one I'm doing in October, and after that I'll be ramping up the social media around it and seeing where we can take it. For now, though, I think they're fantastic, but you just have to take my word for it. I will keep you posted on that. Next section is getting a client or a new boss. Did you know that sales teams need PR backing them up? Well, I spoke to Kathleen Lucente from Red Fan Communications the other day about the chats that she's been having with salespeople. And they've been telling her that many of them are not getting enough air cover, in quotes, from their companies when pitching products. And what they mean by this is that they're using a sort of battle metaphor here. Is they're saying that when they're trying to go in, there's no groundwork done at all. They have to literally knock on the door, try and get someone to listen to them before they can even pitch an idea. And what they're saying is that if they had just got some kind of oil put on that door, or someone to open the door for them a bit, because the person inside had at least heard about the product and at least had a sort of good feeling about it and was interested to learn more, it would make their lives so much better and so much easier, and they could achieve better results, selling more and achieving more. So to Kathleen, this is a big opportunity for PR firms to help these people. If PR people can help open those doors, the salespeople can walk through and do what they do best, make sales and get more results. So if you don't already, maybe it is time to talk to more salespeople, whether they're within your own organization to try and increase the budget of your own comms department, or if it's in another organization where you feel that you can offer some value if they want to employ you through your PR agency. Quick episode update, and then we will get on to the PR scenario for today. So a bit of a brain twister for you to have a quick think about. And it's a very simple one on the episode update. I'll have a special episode for you tomorrow on the podcast feed, where I'm going to be sharing some thoughts on being a good podcast or interview guest, whether it is you, your boss, or your client. I hope there's going to be some ideas in there that are helpful. I actually did this. I was invited by another podcast and website platform to provide some suggestions for their members as to how to be a good podcast guest. And I recorded it, and I was meant to do just a quick thought, and I ended up doing a whole series of thoughts. And in the end, they added it as one of the modules in their course that they're doing for their members. But I just thought that it would be interesting to do something for you as well. So I'm doing that. I'm going to be releasing that in the podcast feed tomorrow. So finally for today, if you like to take a bit of a PR puzzle, let's go through one for today. Just imagine this then. You are handling a PR crisis for a national restaurant chain after a customer claims that they got food poisoning at one of its popular city locations. Now, this story has gone viral, and the customer is accusing the restaurant of negligence. But what complicates this is that the staff in that restaurant reported that the customer appeared intoxicated or perhaps on substances when they came in. But there's no solid proof either way. There's no medical proof. So it's your job as the PR person to navigate this situation carefully. As always, I've got just 2 options for you. There could be a million more. But which one of these 2 would you pick if you had to pick one of these? Would you, number 1, release a statement emphasizing that the chain takes all claims seriously, announce an internal investigation, and invite the customer to share more details? Or number 2, go for a quiet counter-narrative, speaking off the record with reporters and influencers. You then share the staff's reports to raise questions over the story to try and kill the story. What would you do? Would you release a statement or go for that quiet counter-narrative? I think there's a temptation to challenge the customer's story, but personally, I think the problem here is that it could backfire, and it won't repair the damage that in this particular scenario has already been done. If this damage hadn't been done, it might have been a different situation. But since the damage has been done, I think it's not going to help a lot. And without medical evidence, it's going to be hard to back up anyway. And even then, you could come across as being vindictive over someone who could be having problems in their life. So personally, I would go with option one. It's a tough one because I would be really tempted to go for option two as well. But if I have to pick one, which we do in this scenario, I would go for option one. So that clear, simple statement that acknowledges the claim without admitting fault. And, obviously by the time the internal investigation is finished, the story is likely to have moved on anyway. And then also, once I've done that, I would then also plan a campaign for later in the year, showcasing the restaurant's high hygiene standards, making it clear that they exceed all regulations or something like that. But what do you think? Which of those two, if you have to pick one of those two, would you go for? That's it for today. If you know anyone else that should be getting the PRBites podcast audio feed, then get them to sign up to the Public Relations Podcast. Simply go to the website, publicrelationspodcast.com. If they want to get the newsletter, then they can go to the publicrelationspodcast.com as well and just click on the newsletter button. It's really simple. You just enter your email address and your name, and that's it. I send the next one to you automatically twice a week. That's it for now. I'm actually just thinking aloud. Not quite sure whether I'll be doing two next week. I'll see what happens. I'll try and get you up to date on Thursday. But still, there's going to be loads more content coming out. Have an absolutely awesome couple of days, and I will speak to you. Oh, don't forget tomorrow, that special episode on being an interview guest. And then on Thursday, I'll have another PR Bites for you. Gosh, there's so much stuff coming out. Hope this is useful. Do let me know if it's not. Speak to you real soon.